We ready to get started?
Shall we?
Okay, we're glad everybody's here tonight. How many people here already grow herbs? Yes, great. You ready to learn more about herbs and how to companion plant with them? My name's Donna Wolfer, and I've been a master gardener since 2016.
Wow, you're old.
I am old. And I love it. I love herbs. I love flowers and vegetables. I think those are my favorite things to grow. What about you, Dawn? Oh, introduce yourself.
I'm Dawn Graham. I'm a master gardener. I graduated in 2023, so I'm a newbie. I'm still learning. I love to grow anything I can get my hands on, whether it works or doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, I just keep trying until it does. I mean, I'm not herbs, plants, flowers, anything. I'll give it a shot at least once.
So Dawn and I are going to do the first part of the program, and then Daniel Sutton's going to come in and finish us up.
Yeah, he's going to finish up and give his experiences with working with herbs.
Yes, in a big operation.
Huge.
Yes.
All right, you have the clicker.
Oh, I have the clicker.
And again, at least I'm a beginner, so if y'all have any information you want to add to anything, please do so. We're open to whatever information you can supply for us as well.
Did everybody get a little ticket? Because we're going to have door prizes also tonight. So this is a disclaimer that we always have to read. And if you guys will look at it as we read it, it says, the views and opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of AgriLife Extension Service. The information presented is provided for informational purposes only. It is not meant to be substituted for medical advice or diagnosis provided by your physician or other medical professional. Do not use this information to diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or health condition.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. So tonight we're going to talk about the use of herbs to repel pests and enhance flavor of nearby plants. We're going to talk about some natural pest control, soil improvement, attracting beneficial bugs, and greater yields and reduced diseases.
I interplant my herbs with my vegetables. Does anybody else do the same? Yeah, okay, because they have multiple benefits. They're not going to eliminate pests 100%, but they do, you can see a little bit of a difference in a reduction of those pests. Plus, they smell good. I love walking by and just, oh,
that's what you need to do is walk by and rub them so the properties will intermix with whatever else you're planting them with. And that's one thing we're going to teach you tonight is a lot about companion planting.
On this website, there are 2 PDF files that you can go and print. They're awesome. One is Herbs for Texas Landscapes, and the other is Growing Herbs in Texas. You know how special we are, so we have to have special instructions and plants to be able to grow here. And they do have another booklet, the 10 Common Herbs, Cooking, Harvesting, and Growing. That's $15 plus shipping. So this is a very useful website for other things too that you might be interested in.
And the one Herbs for Texas Landscapes, everybody write down Herbs for Texas Landscape because this is a great website and it has great information. And this is like an 8-page brochure that Dawn printed off. But it's called Herbs for Texas Landscapes.
And you're more than welcome after the presentation to come up and take a look, take pictures of anything we have up here.
And it's written right there too. It says Herbs for Texas Landscapes. So make sure you write that down and look it up. Okay, did everybody get that? Okay. Does anybody know what herbs these are? Does everybody know what this one is? Chives. What about this one? Basil. It's a basil.
Yeah, African basil.
How about this one? Sage.
Meow.
Catmint. Catmint. And this one?
That one's lavender.
Lavender, yes. Anybody know what this is? No? Starts with the C.
It starts with a C. Calendula.
Calendula. Yes, if you haven't grown calendula, you need to. It's a beautiful plant. It's easy to grow. It loves full sun. We went to an herb seminar, and they gave us what you do is you cut the flower, and you pull all the petals off, and you let it dry, and you can make salves and oils. And we made what was that for?
It was an oil. I'm not really sure.
Anti-inflammatory?
Yeah, I still have it on my counter.
I do too.
I haven't used it.
Anyway, it's beautiful, and it was fun to do. And what is this?
Tarragon? Yes.
Yes, good. Very good.
Y'all passed. Some herbs like dry soil, some herbs like wet soil. So if you're interplanting herbs, say like in this box, we chose oregano, rosemary, and,
Sage.
thyme, rosemary, and sage. They all like drier conditions. So think about that. If you're going to do boxes, you want to keep the dry herbs together and the moist herbs separately. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. Someone's going to get too soggy and someone's going to get too dry.
What were those again?
This is thyme, trailing rosemary, and sage.
And Daniel, who's speaking after we finish, he made this box,
Yep.
and he put linseed oil on it just to preserve the color of it, and he planted those. And we're having a raffle for this.
This
one
is
of the
one
drawings.
raffles. Yeah.
You'll love him. So cilantro, tarragon, and basil love full sun and all require more moisture to be happy. They grow well together since you can keep them watered at the same rate. Just like this is more of a dry herb box, the cilantro, tarragon, and basil would be like a wet herb box, which means they like to be watered more often. When it comes to herbs that prefer sandier, drier soil, consider planting sage, thyme, rosemary, marjoram, oregano, and lavender. Those are also ones that like dry feet. They're Mediterranean herbs. And thyme is a small creeping herb that will do well when planted with rosemary and variegated sage.
All right, chives. Chives are awesome. I love chives on my baked potatoes.
There's an example of one right there.
Right here. Chives. They're a great all-around partner plant for most vegetables and herbs. That's because chives are known to ward off rose bush's nemesis, the Japanese beetle. Now again, you're not going to have 100% pest control with any herb you plant, but it does help.
It actually helps a lot. And also when you plant chives, they're going to come back.
Yes,
So
they
you
are
gotta-
perennial.
If you don't want chives in your rosemary bed, don't plant them there because you will not get rid of them.
The pollinators do love herbs. Let's see. The oniony aroma of chives produce deters the cucumber beetle as well. Chives are also known to enhance the length and flavor of carrots, as well as increasing the yield of tomato plants and deter pests from them. Y'all familiar with the tomato hornworm? Yeah, that thing there. So we don't want those.
Yes. And chives repel aphids beautifully. We all get aphids, right?
Yes.
Chives are a great companion plant for that. Next, we're going to go to basil. Basil prefers the company of vegetables to other herbs. Rue and sage should be kept far away from basil in your garden. When it comes to veggie herb combinations, tomatoes and basil go together like peas in a pod. These two are said to enhance the flavor of each other. Basil is also compatible with potatoes, beets, cabbage, beans, asparagus, eggplant, chili, and bell peppers. Planting marigolds near basil is a good move too, as a team works together to keep pests away from their neighbors as well as themselves.
Rosemary. I think rosemary is one of my favorites. It comes behind lavender. I love them both. All right. The best companion for rosemary in your garden is broccoli. Rosemary wards off the insects that attack broccoli heads, while broccoli enriches the soil, allowing rosemary to thrive. Rosemary also enjoys the company of beans, cabbage, and hot peppers. Keep rosemary a good distance away from carrots, potatoes, pumpkins, and away from all other herbs aside from sage. Now, in this box, we do have thyme because it is a dry, and the reason why you don't want them together is we have trailing rosemary in this box, so it's not going to be a problem. But rosemary usually grows big, and the same with thyme, so they would be competing for light, and so they would kind of cancel each other out.
Next, we're going to talk about dill. It attracts a variety of beneficial insects. It's right there. Dawn did a great job, by the way. She's the one that put all these plants in pots for us.
Except for this one. That was Daniel.
So dill attracts a variety of beneficial insects. If you want to see, it attracts a variety of beneficial insects you want to see in your garden bed. Yes?
Before you get too far, will you repeat on rosemary what it should not be with?
Thyme.
It only wants to be with sage.
It only wants to be with sage,
Okay.
but it's good in the garden for broccoli, beans, cabbage, hot peppers, and you want to keep it away from carrots.
Keep it away from carrots.
Carrots, potatoes, and pumpkins.
Oh, the longer list of veggies is what it's going to be good for.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You're welcome.
So back to the dill. You want it in your garden beds because you get to, it brings in ladybugs, butterflies, honeybees, wasps, hoverflies, and the majestic praying mantis. Dill also discourages the presence of aphids, cabbage loopers, and spider mites. Veggies that love growing next to dill include lettuce, cucumber, corn, asparagus, onions, and brassicas, such as Brussels sprouts, cabbage, broccoli, and kohlrabi. Keep dill away from peppers, potatoes, carrots, and eggplant in the veggie garden, as well as lavender in your herb garden. How many people plant dill and all the worms come and turn into beautiful butterflies? Does anybody in here plant dill or fennel just for that reason? Yes. If you don't, you need to. Just take a pot. I did it this year. Take a pot, sprinkle some seeds in there, let them grow, and you will have the most beautiful butterflies. And your plant will be gone, will be demolished. Yes, John?
One thing I will recommend is if you want to actually eat the dill, harvest the caterpillars off of that plant and put them on the other one. That way you can keep one for you and let the
Yes.
caterpillars have the other one.
Because they will destroy them so fast.
What I do is I've made pickles before with dill, and I will keep one, like this little plant, I will not put it out for my butterflies, but I have a large planter, bigger than this, that's just full of dill, and I looked today and it is full of the black swallowtail caterpillar, so I'm one happy girl. But I will keep this separate so that I can use this for pickles. I don't want to be eating no worms.
Protein.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cilantro. Does anybody know what's special about cilantro? Yes, it's also coriander.
No, and it is a cool season herb.
It is a cool season. So right now, I just bought this today, actually. It's probably going to bolt very quickly, but I'm hoping not, because June 29th we're having a seminar, and I want to make some salsa. So I'm hoping it will last.
Does
If
everybody
not,
know what bolt means?
it's going to go to flower real quickly, and then your plant is done. So it's triggering it to reseed itself.
And it just grows these long blooms out of the top of it. Yes, Daniel?
And what is it called then when it goes to seed?
Coriander.
Yeah, coriander.
Its favorite veggie buddies are tomatoes and spinach. The only thing you need to keep cilantro far away from is fennel, as the two are highly competitive when planted next to each other. Cilantro also pairs well with many herbs, including basil, mint, tansy, yarrow, lavender, and dill. Did you know yarrow was a spice? I just learned that. Not a spice, an herb. I just learned that. Yep. I watch it grow.
Actually,
I don't do anything with it right now.
It's a medicinal herb, and you can make different tinctures and things with it. And it doesn't matter, there's different colors of it, but the color doesn't matter. You dry the flowers.
So that's love.
Next is sage, which is right here. It's another herb that prefers growing near vegetables and fruits to most other herbs. The only herb sage enjoys bedding with is rosemary. So the best place for sage is in your vegetable garden. Plant sage around strawberries, tomatoes, carrots, and cabbage. You might consider letting 1 or 2 of your sage plants flower. Has anybody seen a bloom of a sage plant? They're really pretty and purple. Not only are the blossoms quite pretty, they also attract beneficial insects, and pollinators can help with your whole garden.
Tarragon. This is a new one to me. This one was gifted to me. A friend was separating hers, so I said, yeah, I'll take one. I'll give it a shot. I don't know what to do with it, but I'll plant it. So I have more research to do on that. It's actually considered a nurse plant, meaning that its presence in the garden will enhance the flavor and increase the growth of anything it is planted next to. You literally can't go wrong with planting tarragon in any place in your garden. The smell of tarragon drives away most pests. Tarragon's favorite neighbor is eggplant. Eggplant is a very popular treat among garden pests, and the odor of tarragon drives them away. Tarragon is also believed to increase the yield and flavor, I just said that, eggplant crops. I guess I enjoyed that. So that's tarragon. And there are 2 types of tarragon. We have French tarragon, which that's what this is. And the other one, I forget what it was called. Oh my gosh.
I don't remember, but Rachel gave a lot of that tarragon
Yes.
to all of us, and all we did was stick it in the dirt, and it takes off.
It's doing well.
Yeah, it's doing
Oh, we
really
have
well.
I think we have a Mexican tarragon.
Oh, I
I
think
have
you're
that in my
right.
flower bed. Okay. It's all coming back to me.
Next, we have borage, also known as starflower. It's an annual herb in the flower plant family. It's native to the Mediterranean region. And the picture on the left is from Dawn's garden, and it's planted with her asparagus. She's
It's
companion.
literally up to my chest. And it's in with asparagus, basil, dill, and strawberries. I have Illinois bundleweed in there. I have frog fruit in there. So I don't have to put any mulch in that area of my bed because I have all kinds of plants.
And this is the flower, and the flower is absolutely stunning that comes out on borage. And there's a white borage, and there is a bluish purple borage. So this pot right here, it was full of borage plants earlier. You can kind of pick it up and show them.
I'm Vanna White.
And so what I did is I just have a few left because I put them in with my tomatoes. And I still have a few more tomatoes to put in the ground, so I just saved those. But I just grew them from seed. They're super easy to grow from seed, and they'll get really tall.
The pollinators love them, especially the bees. Once you plant borage, you'll never have to plant again. My initial planting was last year, 4 feet away from where they grew up now, and I am inundated with borage, which I don't care. I
Who
love it.
cares, because they're beautiful and they're
Doesn't
a
matter,
great
yep.
companion plant. Yes, Lucy? It's an herb. You can use it in soups. I've taken the flowers and I've put them in ice cube trays. So when you serve somebody tea or a beautiful drink, they have a flower in their ice cube. Or you can put them in your salad because they're edible. So you can make a beautiful salad and have those in there for something special. So borage, it helps reduce the effects of weeds and insects. It promotes the healthy growth of nearby plants, which is what we were just speaking about. It's a fantastic companion plant to tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, and eggplant. And it also enhances their growth, yield, and flavor. Can you imagine something enhancing the flavor even more than a homegrown tomato? It attracts bees and adds trace minerals to the soil. It increases the resistance of neighboring plants to pests and disease. And it's a great companion plant also to basil, leeks, pumpkin, kale, nasturtiums, pansies, marigolds, and parsley. Does anybody know what a nasturtium is? Yes. Nasturtiums you can eat. They're beautiful plants. You grow them from a seed. And you can eat all parts of the plant. And again, they're beautiful.
If you pull the plant off, on the back, you can suck the back of it, and it's got a sweet taste to it, but the flower itself has kind of a tang to it. It's peppery.
Yes, peppery. Yes,
Interesting.
thank you.
Interesting. Any questions so far on anything? Yes, sir?
Is comfrey and boards the same?
No.
No.
No. Comfrey, there's a Russian comfrey, and there's also, I forget what the other one is, but one is invasive. I can't remember the name of it, but the Russian one is, I believe, is the invasive one. Does your daughter do anything to do with comfrey?
I know we've grown a lot of comfrey in our yard.
Yeah.
And you put it in soups? Do you know?
No, we haven't really cooked with it.
Okay.
I think it's good in salves. You know, 'cause it's
Yes, it is
medicinal.
good for salves, yes.
I've taken the comfrey leaves and I've steeped them in water in a 5-gallon bucket with no light until it ferments, and I use that as fertilizer on my plants. I've done that with comfrey leaves. It doesn't smell very good when you take that lid off, but it works good.
Are most of the herbs perennial or annual?
Most, I would say maybe 75%. I don't know the exact number. This is a perennial, but it does have a life expectancy. I think it's 3 years.
I don't know. Borage is a perennial.
Borage is actually an annual because it reseeds itself.
Can you allow the plants to go to seed and they will reseed themselves?
Yes, yes. Yep, that's what happened with my borage. I didn't realize it at the time because it was a new plant to me. I just put it in the ground. I kind of like the name, so I'm happy with it. It came up everywhere, and I've given plants to people. You know, I just dug them up, and
And the chives, you know, as we said, they'll come back year after year.
yep, chives will
after
come back,
year.
your thyme will come back, your rosemary, your sage. Dill, no, dill has to reseed. It'll have a nice head on the top with a gazillion seeds, and it will reseed.
Seeds drop down into That's semi-perennial.
I guess,
That's fine.
if you want to be technical. Trying to
So
think
that
what
I
else
don't
to
have
say.
to go out and buy them every year. That's
No, and that's what happened to me with the borage. I did buy white borage seeds to get going so that I can, were these the white ones or the blue
No,
ones?
the blue.
They're the blue ones?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a white one started. It's a little bit smaller than this one, so I'm excited about that one, to see what that looks like.
I hate garden work.
You what?
I hate garden work, so I want it to grow up.
I love it. I'm in my garden every day, and that's another thing, too, to help with the pests, is be in your gardens every day. Don't rely on one thing, whether it be a chemical or plants. You have to be out there. You got to do your due diligence. Check under leaves. If your leaves are looking sad or chewed up, figure out why. And then deal with the pest. Know what the pest is before you
Yep.
treat.
If you're going to use pesticide on anything, or whatever type it is, always do it at night, particularly if you have bees.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if you do it at daytime and the bees come and land on it, they get it, and then they'll eat it and they'll die.
That is true.
So,
that
but
is
if
true.
you do it at night, it dries, and then the bees, they're back at home.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
if you know the pest, it's easier to treat. Like the Japanese beetles on your rose bushes. Before they're Japanese beetles, they're grubs. They're very easy to kill as grubs. You just squish them. Very easy. And then you just run your hands through the dirt. They're clean. All right. Everybody knows about marigolds in the garden. Who hasn't used marigolds? Okay, we have a whole bunch over here. I love marigolds. It's an herb, a composite herb with showy, usually yellow, orange, or maroon flower heads. They attract beneficial insects. They serve as a trap crop for certain pests. They help to repel certain pest species with a secretion of, these are big words for me, limonene, please don't ask me to
Limonene.
define it. May help to reduce harmful nematodes in the soil, can be used as a chop and drop plant to maintain soil health. I do that with Artemisia. When I'm trimming it up, I'll chop it up and then I'll use it kind of like as a ground cover underneath other plants. It provides a number of additional yields to the plants you're growing with, create good ground cover without increasing competition too much. Let's see, for the trap crop, marigolds can also potentially be used as a trap crop for several pest species. They attract the attention of pests, thereby keeping them off more valuable crop species in your garden. So you're actually giving them a plant to go to so that they'll leave your other plants alone.
It says marigolds are the ultimate companion flower. You gonna show them how to dehead a marigold?
Y'all know about deadheading, or when the marigolds go, their little flowers are dying off. There's a better one here. They just snap right, oh gosh, that smells so good. And then, because you want more plants, you don't want to have to do anything, it's full of seeds, all kinds of seeds. And then I just drop them around my garden and let them have their way with it.
And you'll have lots and lots of marigolds.
Yep, you'll have
which
lots
is a
and lots,
great
and then at the end
companion
of the
plant.
season, you can collect them, put them in a bag, but you don't want to seal the bag because you don't want to trap in any moisture, and you can plant them for the next year.
They like more sun.
More sun, yeah. A lot of your veggies and herbs, at least 6 to 8 hours of sun.
There's a few that like shade, lemon balm.
This one likes some shade. It doesn't like the intense Texas sun.
Yeah. So in our summary, it says herbs can serve as companion plants just as well as vegetables, maybe even better, as the strong odors from the essential oils that herbs produce work wonders at ridding your garden of unwanted pests. Herbs are also responsible for increasing the output and flavor of many of your garden favorites. So next time you're planning out your vegetable garden, consider adding in accompanying herbs to complete the package.
Now, the information that I list on here is what I found to be helpful to me. It's not necessarily what Texas A&M recommends, but they have a very good site as well. I do get a lot of information from them too.
Does everybody know how to dry herbs? You see them hanging upside down here in this picture? You don't. Basically, you clip them, just like this sage. You could clip it and hang it upside down and let it dry. You just wrap some twine around it. Pardon me?
Does it need special circumstances, warm, cool, dark?
No, not
No.
really. And a lot of times, I tell you what I do. I take those little brown bags you get at the grocery store, and so here's my bag that's open, and I'll cut this off, and I'll turn it upside down in the bag and wrap my twine around it, and then hang that bag up. So especially with rosemary, because as these start to fall off, they're going to be all over your floor. But if you put them in a brown paper bag, they're yeah, lunch sack.
Yep.
Yeah. But I prefer fresh herbs because they're just so much more flavorful.
And some, like rosemary, they're easier to work with fresh than dried, because when they're dried, they're going to stick inside your palate.
Yeah.
It's not very comfortable. All right.
Does anybody make compounded butter? You can crush up rosemary, you can crush up thyme, and soften butter and mix it with your butter to put on bread.
Oh, I love bread.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yes.
had a calorie I didn't like.
All of your references that you've been talking and reading, did you gain those off of those two websites?
Yes.
For the most part.
Yes.
Okay, so those would be the sites that go back and repeat, find out what you said.
Yep. Now, I have additional information which would have helped me if anybody had any specific questions on any of the herbs that we specified tonight, which I get off other websites that I find useful for me.
You might tell them about where he can go back and see this again.
This Oh, this program, we're having another program Friday at the downtown library at 10 a.m., and then you can go on our website, and John uploads them, and you can rewatch any program that we've done on that website.
And it'll actually go up on our YouTube channel.
YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Those websites, the useful websites you guys are talking about, it's on that last page on the back, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Next slide.
Oh, next slide. Yep, useful gardening websites. These are fantastic.
If you want to know what to plant in Texas in this area, go to texassuperstar.com. It's a great place to figure out if you don't know what to plant in this area.
Any further questions? I would like to introduce another master gardener. It's a special treat, Daniel Sutton. He has worked for an herb farm. His tasks included, but were not limited to, planting, caring, harvesting, for which they supplied 80 grocery stores, 10 organic stores, and 10 other various establishments. He graduated in the class of 2022, so please welcome Daniel Sutton. He's the one that's donating all the door prizes tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming this afternoon and being here to share this with us. As we all have common love in gardening, and sounds like herbs too in general gardening. I'm not the best public speaker, so bear with me. I'll do the best I can. So yeah, as they were saying, I worked for an herb farm in Arizona for about a year and a half for Max and Chris Humphrey. And we really worked on building up our soil, and a lot of people think Arizona, oh my gosh, they probably can't grow nothing out there, but honestly, you've got a real good growing season about 6-7 months of the year, and the rest of it's pretty hot. So we did your most common herbs, what you'd see at your supermarkets even today in the little clamshell packets, or wrapped with a bread tie. So it was a lot of fun getting up and harvesting them. We usually started at 4 in the morning when it was cool. It's always best to harvest your herbs when it's cool, either early morning or late afternoon. And of course there, you know, being as hot as it was, sometimes we couldn't produce everything we needed for the market, so we also purchased from a wholesaler, or some basil, mainly basil, would fall off during the hottest part of the season. Other plants would thrive. Rosemary really thrives in heat. Mint does extremely well in heat, and as anybody that's ever grown mint will know, it likes to take over a bed if it's in the right soil in the right place. What else was I going to tell you all? So we like to put stuff on raised beds. Some of that's too, so you don't have to stoop down as much. And we just made a bed that was about yay high, and then added our compost. And depending on what we were planting, we may add some grit, some rock for better drainage. And then everything would be on drip system, so that different zones were, like she said, for different herbs will require different amounts of water, so that we would try to plant them according to their water usage. And then we grew quite a bit of roses, which a lot of people may think, why would you grow roses? But a lot of them are edible. I think we had 3 flowers that were edible: nasturtiums, rose petals, and correct me if I'm incorrect on that, I believe rose petals are edible, nasturtium, maybe calendulas, yeah. Also, that all did well. A lot of stuff you wouldn't see, it would be stuff people would not use, maybe rue, I can't ever pronounce it right, espun, what you'd put in beans sometimes, people put them in yeah, there you go, I just can't pronounce that word very well. And then of course, after we got everything harvested, we had a lot of lovely ladies that Chris and Bud knew from church and had been family friends that would come twice a week, and we pretty much had a packing shed or a shed, and we'd set up tables, and all these gals would come in and they'd sit down and clean and prep and get everything packaged accordingly, and then it'd go right back into coolers. And then a lady would come in about 3 in the morning, and I'd help her load the van, a pretty good-sized van, and then that went all over the Phoenix Metroplex to all different sorts of stores. Get here to my second page. And that pretty much was part of the whole operation. And we did have some greenhouses and cold frames, which is pretty much just a hoop house for wind protection, sometimes rain protection. And of course, in the winter, we'd heat it with propane so we could continuously grow as many herbs as possible to meet the market, meet the customer's demand. And I think after I quit working for them, they continued for a couple more years, and I think it was one of the deals where it was a lot of effort and a lot of work, so they did end up pretty much retiring at that point. So, but is there any questions that you might have? Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the herbs that you grew there?
The most popular: rosemary, thyme, oregano, tarragon, mint, a couple different types of mint, spearmint, some peppermint, maybe we had a few other mints, best of my recollection. Basil was probably one of the most popular things because people use basil quite a bit. And Phoenix is a pretty diversified amount of different people and culture, so there was lots of different restaurants. It's definitely not a food desert. It's a desert, but not a food desert. But your most common ones being those herbs that everybody usually uses in the kitchen, and thyme. And thyme was always fun to grow and harvest because it's like a carpet and a mat, and it's fun to see because people sometimes may not see it in their own garden, but once you start to cut herbs, they get bigger and bigger and more pretty, more just a lot of fun. And then every now and then, if you had to be real careful, but I've cut the top tip of my finger off with the scissors, and then you got to stop and clean up and mark that bed so that we know that's quarantine just for a little while there. So be careful with those scissors, I can tell you that much, because I've done that before. The basil was easy because you would just pinch it. You'd pinch it off. And we took those big styrofoam old school coolers and we pack them full, and let me tell you, it takes a lot of those full of basil to make 50 pounds. Because we were generally doing 50 to 75 pounds a week. Twice a week. So they were very fortunate because they had known Eddie Basha, which is a big grocery store in Arizona. They were personal friends with him, so that's how they got the in to the herb market. They'd been cotton farmers and milo farmers and that in the past. So they were very lucky to be able to start that, and a lot of people enjoyed it, and we had about 3 people managed the garden side, and then it took probably 8 to 12 ladies that did all the packaging and prepping and all that good stuff. So, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any advice on when things need to be harvested, but they won't be used right away? How is the best way to store to keep them fresh?
Most things you can, most things need to go in the refrigerator. Most herbs need to go in the refrigerator. I know I don't have a lot of experience with that. I know that sometimes it does help to put them in a cup of water, like mint, to prolong how long they last in the refrigerator. I like to keep them trimmed because it does seem to promote more growth. And I've noticed if I don't trim my herbs, they seem to be a little bit slower growing. So I don't know if that encourages them by keeping them cut back a little bit, and then they get a little more sprawled, a little more bushy, depending on the herb, but definitely basil for one thing. But basil seems like you keep picking it and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Suggestion too, if you know a heavy storm is coming and you've got herbs that are tall and you want to save them so they don't get smashed to the ground, you can do a trimming then as well,
Okay.
to save at
That's-
least some of the crop.
Yeah, that's great advice. That really is good advice.
Another way of keeping them too is if you're gonna put them in a plastic bag, put a piece of paper towel in.
Okay. You
It
d-
helps absorb the moisture, but it keeps it viable with the plant. And it also, for some reason, keeps seeing, as long as you don't leave it there for a month or more, staves off mold.
Okay, that's very good knowledge. I've always did that when I'd put spinach in a Ziploc baggie or arugula or any salad green.
Yeah,
I'd
lettuce
usually,
especially,
yeah. Because and it's amazing how what you grow in your own garden, you get so much better shelf life than what you buy at the supermarket, generally.
It tastes so much better.
And yeah.
Spinach for the first time this year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm doubling my yield next year.
And you got to think too on like spinach, not to change the subject or get off herbs, but spinach, when you grow the varieties in the store are very manicured, pretty. The older varieties and stuff will have like white hairs on the back of the leaves, or they look different. They're thicker and heavier. The leaf patterns can be very different between 5 different varieties of spinach. So I always enjoy growing spinach when it's the right time of year. So now we're coming out of that early spring crops and going into our heavy summer crops. So now's your time for your okra, your black-eyed peas. Any southern pea is good to me. I love them all. Purple hulls, cream crowders, brown crowders. So, but everybody has a preference on that too. Same thing. Some people, no, I love my black eyes. And I'm like, but I like purple hulls better. So there's that. But I think that sums it up for me. I don't know. I'm going to working for 2 other farmers, but that's a whole nother ballgame and a story. Yeah, we save that for another day. Yes, John?
How amended on the soil around here would you recommend? Heavy compost? Can we just stick with the straight clay that we normally get, or the straight sand?
Well, and you need to kind of base it off of what your soil type is. I want to say there's at least 7, 8 different soil types around Abilene area. You've got your real hard red clay, you've got your kind of sandy loam, you have some more blow sand, like if you go out towards Clyde and areas. And I think some of that always has to do with how it was farmed in the past. Virgin ground is going to be better than stuff that they've farmed cotton on for 50, 100 years. So I find that ground usually needs more improvement. I'm bad about overdoing it, so I always have to tell myself, no, be very careful with the back guano. Be careful with the cow manure, because my garden now is a little on the hot side. It's going to work its way out of it. But and you don't know, 1 scoop of cow manure will be stronger than the next scoop. So my general rule now is what they say pretty much online. This is kind of standard to go by, 2 inches and incorporate it. So take 2 inches of composted manure or 2 inches of compost. And if it's even the compost here in Abilene that comes probably from Green Cow down south, or I think that's the name of the compost company, it's a little hot. So you got to be careful with it too. If you're going to use it for potting soil, you need to cut it by 50%. So I'm lucky enough that I have real hard red clay on one part of the place, blow sand on the other, silt by the tank, and I just get a scoop of every one of them and I just start playing with it. And then I really like adding some mulch to it because that seems to keep it from compacting as bad. Too on the price side, because the compost in Abilene I think is $80 a yard. When the city of Abilene was making it, it was some great stuff the city of Abilene was making. It was $25 a yard, but unfortunately I guess it wasn't cost comparative for them to make it anymore. They were probably not making money or not enough sales. I don't know why they quit, but they sure did make some nice compost when they did. So any amendments definitely help to soil. But always, like I say, be careful, and maybe that's sometimes the best thing to do is get a soil sample before you start. And you can always go to Texas A&M website and the soil lab on there. You'll find it on their webpage. Oh, she's got soil sample bags, so if anybody needs a soil sample bag and wants to check their garden soil, take that bag home with you and follow the directions on it. It's got good directions on it. And send it off to Texas A&M, and then in maybe a week, I think it takes them, you'll have a sample. Then you can base it on that. And does that one give the organic matter? Do you know anybody that's run? It's been a while since I've done one.
Keep mine with me all the time.
I can't remember if it probably does organic content, but if you can get your organic content up around 5-10%, you're doing good. I think the rule, and don't hold me to, for every 1% of organic matter per acre, I think it's somewhere around, it can hold 20,000 more gallons of water when it rains. So you have to Google that to get more. And of course, that probably varies on soil, other things in the soil, whether it's sandy loam or silty clay or whatnot. So, but I hope that helps everybody. Yeah, thank you all for letting me speak to y'all. I enjoy it.